现在我知道为什么他们的 CEO 非要让我来日内瓦表展了。腕表流行力，天书接地气。日内瓦表展上，我们看的大多数品牌呢，都是以集团形式出现的。相对来说呢，像这个独立品牌啊，还是比较少的。但是有一个独立品牌呢，我觉得我还是很有兴趣去聊一聊的，这就是亨利慕时。今天我们准备讲亨利慕时呢，挑出3块吧，有代表性的。比如说这款是勇创者系列大3针啊，它是一个珐琅盘。再有呢，就是这个勇创者系列的，同样是珐琅盘，但是它有一个陀飞轮。最后呢，特别想讲的是这个，因为这个我估计啊，你可能也会喜欢，因为这属于这种当下比较流行的这个奢华运动表，或者叫豪华运动表。那咱们先从这开始吧。这个看壳型就知道啊，这是这个亨利慕时比较标志性的勇创者系列。然后今年这款新款呢，还有着他们标志性的烟熏表盘。不过这个烟熏表盘呢，它是大明火珐琅的，所以这就产生一个问题啊。烟熏表盘咱们都知道，但是呢，如果用大明火珐琅烧这个烟熏表盘，这里边背后有没有什么可以分享的背景呢？或者有什么技术难点呢？我想呢，我带这问题呢，一会儿我去问问他们的 CEO。机芯呢，就是它的200机芯。作为勇创者系列标志性的这个表壳壳型呢，直径呢是40毫米，配合它这个机芯呢仍然是薄皮大馅儿。不过呢，这个简约的外表之下呀，它隐藏了一个玄机，就是它的机芯。这个机芯呢，虽然说是大3针啊，但是它的这个擒纵机构里呢是有双游丝的。这个双游丝呢，据说呢，它是这个双层游丝对向布局。这个双层布局呢，可以抵消表在任何一个方向受到外力的冲击对这个走势精度的影响。这表壳外观呢，也是经典的这勇创者系列的这个表壳啊，应该说是比较新一代的这个表壳设计。它的工艺呢也是复合打磨，但是它的复合打磨呢，跟我们常见的这种多件式表壳结构的复合打磨不太一样。它其实不是多件式表壳结构，但是它依然可以在这么一个表壳上实现了复合打磨。比如说，它利用了这个表壳侧面的这个凹凸啊，分别做了拉丝和抛光。说白了吧，就是没有拉丝到的地方，它就是保留的抛光。不过不管怎么样，这保留的还是这个复合打磨的这种效果，近看还是能很容易识别的。这款呢是这个勇创者系列大3针，不是大3针啊，几个针呢，2针啊，这个极简是它的风格啊，但是它这个极简的这个外形呢，里面呢有一个无法避免的一个很突出的一个东西，就是陀飞轮。这个陀飞轮呢，你也能看出来，这是一个飞行陀飞轮。它这个表盘颜色是绿松石色大明火珐琅。烟熏表盘啊，是亨利慕时的一个标志啊，但是呢，这次它用的是大明火珐琅。这珐琅表盘也是烟熏的，这里背后一定有门道。所以呢，我带你去问问亨利慕时的 CEO。
It's very difficult. Why did we think of enamel? We like the traditional watchmaking, and we always think, how can we make it modern? And you're right, enamel is very, very old. Usually it used to be like émail grand feu, white with blue, black or blue numerals on it. Now we wanted to make it modern. The reason why we wanted to use this transparent enamel, which is beautiful, it allows you to show the structure that you put on the dial behind it. Colors is something we like, and fumé is our signature, so it was important to try to bring all that. A lot of time to do it, and to be honest, it's very complicated to make. If you look at the blue, we need 4 different pigments of blue to make the fumé dial, because you need to create a gradient of color, so you need to mix them. But the most difficult is the purple, the one that we're introducing our Watches and Wonders, because we need 6 pigments of purple to achieve that, and they're very difficult to get. So I don't know how many we're going to get, and everybody seems to love this watch. It's going to be very complicated to make, but it's a very difficult color, and every single dial is different. Why? Because it's really somebody taking little pieces of crushed enamel, putting it on the dial and going into the oven. We actually do it 17 times. We put 17 times the dial in the oven to get this transparency, these vibrant colors. And every time you put it in the oven, because of the high temperature, there's a risk that it breaks. So yeah, amazing dials that I think also kind of raise the bar. A lot of brands have been trying to copy the Moser dials. So now with the enamel, I think it's another level, and hopefully we continue to stay ahead. When people come and see our collections, they always say, wow, you have the most beautiful dials. Obviously, we also have the best movements, but it's great that we can continue to be a little bit of a step ahead. We smoke everything, but we did it on certain stones. You will see more type of smoky dials towards the end of this year.
机芯呢跟这个200机芯又不一样了，毕竟是陀飞轮嘛，你也能看出这是飞行陀飞轮，这都是司空见惯。但是与你能见到的市面上大部分陀飞轮相比，这款表的陀飞轮呢有一个特殊之处。Why is flying tourbillon rather than the conventional tourbillon?
It's a recurring question: traditional tourbillon or flying tourbillons. It's a matter of taste. I personally like to see it flying freely in the middle of the dial. We originally, as you said before, we're very minimalistic. We try to get rid of everything, and for me, it's kind of a platform to see the beautiful cinematic, the dance of the tourbillon, and it's even more beautiful having the entire cage constantly moving rather than having a fixed bridge on top of it. That's personal taste. We like it. What makes it special is first we do it ourselves. We have a system with double hairspring, increasing the isochronismos on that particular one. Which makes exactly this movement unique.
Yes.
That's something very special to us. And why not other complications? Because you need to start somewhere. But we already have miniature Peter tourbillon, and we are working on tourbillon with other complications for the years to come. It's just these are very complex movements, so it takes a little bit of time. But yeah, this is the next step for Moser.
你一定知道，陀飞轮的设计初衷呢是为了抵消地心引力对走时精度的影响，没错。但是这款表的它的陀飞轮呢，跟其他陀飞轮不一样的地方在于它有一个双层游丝，形状一样的游丝对向布局，这种布局可以补偿任何一个角度的位差，有那么一点第一性原理的意思。你也知道啊，现在最火爆的表款一般都是属于奢华运动表或者叫豪华运动表啊，有某品牌的那些牌子在那儿啊，已经立住了大概有50年了，有半个世纪了，对吧？那么作为一个独立品牌，如果它出一款豪华运动表，它应该设计成什么样？它应该配备什么样的复杂功能呢？这个就是我特别想讲这个亨利姆氏这款激速者计时表的原因之一。42.3毫米的外径，然后金刚表壳，这都没什么新鲜的啊。关键是什么呢？你能看出它有什么复杂功能吗？豪华运动表上复杂功能其实是非常困难的啊。因为它要求防水、要坚固还有耐用对吧？所以上复杂功能的时候得特别小心。这也是为什么很多爆款运动表没有什么复杂功能的原因之一啊。但是如果你认为这款表没有什么复杂功能的话，你可能就大错特错了。因为这款表不但有一个特别经典的复杂功能，而且它这复杂功能还值得大说特说。估计你也猜到了，你看它2点位和10点位的按钮应该能猜出来它是一个计时，但是呢，它没有传统计时表这些表盘。为什么？因为你看看亨利姆氏的所有作品都是那种造型非常简约的，那么这款表呢也不例外，看起来很简约、很连贯的造型，对吧？不想用任何元素呢来破坏掉这种简约感、这种流线型。说到流线型就不得不说这款表的外形设计。这款表的外形设计呢，刚好就是用了70年代比较流行的那种流线型物体的设计，比如说流线型火车、流线型汽车什么的反映在手表上呢，就是从表壳到链带的连贯性 （integral design）， 整体式设计看起来没有边界的连贯过渡。现在一说豪华运动表，动不动就说尊达、说皇象，对吧？但是呢，亨利姆氏作为一个独立品牌，它没有掉入这个陷阱，它采用这种70年代的流线型设计名字都听的都是这么流线型叫 streamliner 它实际上有一复杂功能就是计时但是这计时呢，刚才我说了，没有小表盘，没有那么复杂的这个布局，但是据设计者说，这样的计时表其实更符合逻辑，而且呢更易于读时。到时候我们看看是不是真的这样And now comes the question like talking about the popular integral design. We are talking about Streamliner. Yeah.
I think the strength of the Streamliner is that it talks to many different generations. Maybe not linked to the history, but when they look at it, it reminds them of something they've seen in the past, but different as well. I think that's the strength of the design of the Streamliner is that it seems that it's something you know, but it's also something very modern that is different from any other watches that has been designed before. And that made the Streamliner very unique, first through the monolink bracelet, through this cushion sort of shape case that at the end of the day make it extremely unique, and I think attracted a lot, as you say, Gen Z or others. I think there are a lot of our customers there. Do they know the history behind the name or where it comes from? Maybe not, but I think still the design speaks to them.
When you designed the Streamliner, did you borrow something from the...
To be honest, when we really started from a white piece of paper, trying to do something different, the main concern we had was to do something that is not similar to the Royal Oak Nautilus and Engineer. That was the key. At the same time, we wanted to create, as what I said before, a certain connection, a consistency across collections. So we started, as Bertrand said, with the bracelet that has nothing to do with the Endeavour. Then we started working on the case. The case was important that we work the sides. For me, because of the Endeavour has the free forms on the side, then with the Pioneer has the structure, we wanted to have something there. It doesn't have to be a copy of the Endeavour, but there needs to be something worked on the side of the case, which we did to have a contrast between polished and another finishing, in this case brushed. Then we looked at the dial. Before we looked at the hands, we looked at the dial, and remember with Bertrand we did hundreds of dials. We did dials with all kind of structures because we looked at others were doing, you know, like the lines of Patek, the tapisserie of AP, and we're like, we need to create a structure. And we tried things, and we didn't find anything. So what we did in the end is we went back to the original Endeavour dials with the Fumé dials, and actually that was we did the Griffé, but we also combined it with the Sunburst, and that was a way to connect it so that people would discover the Streamliner but link it to Moser in general. So it was important for us to create. We realized that internally we needed this link between the two collections.
现在呢，一说这个手表的夜明，尤其是运动表要有夜明，一说夜明的话，大家就会想到这个 Super Luminova， 对吧？但是呢，这款表也是夜明的，但是它不是 Super Luminova， 而是一种叫 Global Light 的一种新型的革命性的夜光材料。这个 Global Light 有这么几个优点啊，比如说呢，它比较耐热，150度啊，不管是摄氏还是华氏，人都受不了了，它没事儿。这肯定不是专门为腕表开发的材料。指针中央的嵌块就是 Global Light 这种夜光材料啊。它还有一个优点，就是说它可以定制颜色。比如说现在你看的是白的吧，如果你这个设计一个腕表，你希望它是别的颜色的话，那么 Global Light 可以按照你的需要定做成你要的颜色。这还没完，它可以按需夜明。什么意思呀？就是一般的夜明材料，如果把灯关掉，你自然就能看到它的夜明在闪。这个 Global Light 这种夜光材质，你可以让它亮，也可以让它不亮。正常人什么场合会选择这种功能呢？
And that took us a lot of time, but yeah. Endeavour Streamliner, it's really the side of the case plus the dial that were the links.
这个表盘也是烟熏的极光绿啊，还有一款是这个电光蓝，都是很炫的。然后它这个机理呢叫 frosted， 结霜的意思啊。从工艺上讲呢，我觉得可能更像赞金的一种手艺啊。还说回到这个复杂功能啊，我们说它是这个把这个简约留给你，把复杂留给自己，什么意思？这是一款这个全新研发的一个集成了自动上弦的计时机芯啊，老看我们节目都知道啊，集成、自动上弦、计时机芯，还要带柱轮，这些全有。如果你要看这表背的话呢，你就看出多复杂。但是呢，有一个小问题啊，刚才我们说它是集成了自动上弦的计时机芯了，对吧？但是你在表背你看不到自动陀，这又是一个崭新的设计。它把这个自动陀放在了表盘背后，这样的话呢，可以让它这个有434个零件的高精密、高复杂的计时机芯呢，包括它的工艺呢，展现你的面前。翻过头来看看它的计时指针啊，它这个计时秒针还有这个中央秒针，全是放在中央的，是同轴秒针啊。它这个机芯里呢，用一个水平摩擦轮来实现了这么一个同轴显示的功能。它表盘外圈这些精密的刻度啊，依然传递出一种，也就是说，这是一款很精密、很复杂的计时表。打磨呢，应该有豪华运动表必备的复合打磨，在这款表上也看得比较清楚。它的表圈是一种放射状拉丝表圈，放射状拉丝打磨， 这链带和表壳的接缝呢，就是还有很多倒角的地方呢，除了拉丝以外，链带和表壳都是复合打磨，但是在这个倒角的地方呢做了抛光，所以呢很有一种精致感。As with the case of styling Endeavor, as the name suggests, is designed to satisfy the collector.
To be honest, the Endeavor is a collection we inherited. It was there when we started. It was
Really?
from 2005, and I think we all loved it. We modernized it in 2017, I believe. But what I liked about it is, as you said, there's a lot of curves, there's a lot of details, reflections on the bezel, on the side case with the free forms that are so difficult to make,
Sure.
the contrast between the brush and polish.
Polishing.
We always say this, you can make 3-hands watches at $100, or you can make 3-hands watches at $100,000. So what makes the difference? I think it's all about those kind of small details. At Moser, we like this. Well, we're very Germanic in many ways. So very, can be very dry. We like to bring those curves and make it almost more feminine a little bit. And because we had the Endeavor, it kind of impacted all the other collections. If you look at them, there's a lot of similarities. The way we treat the Pioneer on the side, even the Streamliner. There's this gap in the middle of the case that is a little bit inside where we can change the finishing. It's important to us so that it creates links between the different collections.
We are Montrability. It is composed of montre and ability. Montrability. So, would you like to say a word to our family, Montrability?
Of course.
Just wanted to say thank you to the Montrability community for the support, of course, that you're bringing through the knowledge you've been building So thank you to the family of Montrability, and thank you for your support in Moser.
Well, hi guys at Montrability, pleasure to be with you here. We are at the Moser boutique in Beijing. Super happy to show the novelties from Watches and Wonders 2025. Hope you like it. If you want to see them in real, come and see us here in Beijing.
他说让我们再去一趟那个日美华展，原来我以为可以不去了，现在他这么一说的，我看来又给去一次了啊。OK， 没问题。
That's good.
现在我知道为什么他们的 CEO 非要让我来日内瓦表展了。你看看这些表呢是 Pop 系列，这里边有一个数字游戏啊。每款表都是用2种彩色宝石拼接而成的，总共有6种彩色宝石，两组合在一起，搭配在3个复杂功能。这3个复杂功能呢，分别是小3针、陀飞轮和3问。那么这个数字游戏呢，如果做乘法的话，应该是18枚，但是你看啊，现在这只有12枚，为什么？待会儿我告诉你。Pop 系列呢，它的特点呢，你要看这个表盘，马上就秒懂，它是由双色宝石拼接而成的表盘，分别到在各种这个机械功能上啊，你看起来会非常有趣的。价格呢，大概其就是，比如说小3针呢，20多万，陀飞轮呢是60多万，3问呢是200多万。现在你明白为什么在这里面只摆12款表，而不是18款表了吧？怎么样？钟表与曲距日内瓦表展，除了这个大集团的品牌之外呢，我们还看了这个亨利姆什这种小众的独立制表品牌啊。而且呢，从它这几个作品来看呢，这个小众品牌确实有它自己的这个存在的理由啊。我相信你们中有不少人喜欢它这种设计的特点呀、工艺特点，包括复杂功能啊。时间关系，我们只能先说这3款表。如果你喜欢哪款表，或者是希望我们说什么东西，欢迎你跟我们互动起来。谢谢。